Kinji Ninomiya is determined to become a rich knight and by investing into a real estate empire becomes wealthy without ever having to work. A portal suddenly transports him to the world of Amuria, populated by demi-humans. Here the age of heroes is over and the dungeons they once explored are mined by mother corporations for the Ord Demonite. Kinji is forced to become a miner, but soon incurs enormous debt. He befriends Wanabe, a crocodile demi-human, and volunteers to prospect deeper in the dungeons, where monsters are more dangerous, but Demonite is plentiful. He reveals to Wanabe he discovered a secret entrance to the 3rd level. They are attacked by a dragon girl named Rim, but Kinji makes a deal with her, promising that if she grabs them, while the deck he will provide tester food. They begin making huge profit, but Kinji despairs as his money goes toward feeding Rim and his debts actually increase. Kinji discovers a magician's staff left behind by a dead hero and uses it to hypnotize other miners into mining for him. Eventually the staff breaks, the miners awaken, and Kinji is severely punished. With no money to feed Rim, she threatens to eat Kinji. Kinji and Wanabe are transferred to a dangerous exploration team. Wanabe is injured, so Kinji is forced to do his share of the work, while also having his pay reduced. This leaves him with no money as he must still feed Rim. A swarm of monsters and overruns the mine, and to survive Kinji uses a transformation potion to turn himself, an elite warrior and an acquainted manager, into ants, but ants are trapped when their boss seals the mine. Kinji realizes while transformed he can understand the ant language and introduces the concept of workers right to the worker ants, forming a union to demand the Ant Queen treat them better. It is revealed the Ant Queen decided to explain her colony into the mine after Rin disappeared and stopped eating her workers. Kinji confronts the queen with her workers' demands, but she decides to simply kill and replace them. Rim appears, having grown hungry, so Kinji gives her his dinner. The queen is impressed Kinji can control Rim, who has preyed on her colony for years. Wanabe returns to work, where Kinji reveals with Rim the Ant Queen and her colony has plans to take over the Reza Hamani Corporation and form his own dungeon black company. Shia, a mother hero employed by Reza Corporation, locates a philosopher's stones in the dungeons and is asked to join Exploration Group 3. On an island continent, a corporate training center, Kinji and Wanabe are forced to endure brutal physical exercise, psychological abuse, and magical brainwashing to increase loyalty to Reza Ha. Kinji snaps Wanabe out of being brainwashed and reveals he knew about the brainwashing the whole time and used mind-altering plans to resist and plan revenge. By dragging the brainwashing sorcerers with the mind-altering plans, the set of fire spells, exploding the island, the training center, and all the instructors, believing they are successfully brainwashed the corporation, sends Kinji and Wanabe to Group 3, where Shia becomes their supervisor. Kinji tries to point out Reza exploitation, but Shia, who is totally loyal, forces him to accompany her into the danger to fight monsters. When Shia tries to kill Ant A, Kenji's favorite ant, he summons Rim to protect him. With Shia captured, Kinji forces her to pose for photograph, incriminating her as being friends with Rim and the Ant Queen. Using the photographs, Kinji blackmails Shia till secretly working for his dungeon black company. Kinji is told to repay 5 million gold within a month. Shia shows Kinji monster parts can be viable, so Kinji hatches a plan. Belza, Reza Ha's on director, reveals Death March is a portion when all Demonite and monsters regenerate, which is massively profitable. Kinji built a farm to harvest monster parts without killing them and pays the 5 million. Belza reveals Death March includes the resurrection of a Majin, but this requires the sacrifice of a hero like Shia. Majin attacks Shia, so Kinji throws a magic crystal at it, teleporting Majin to the surface, where it destroys the mine. As Majin tunnels back into the dungeon, Kinji has the ants set traps. Shia insists on fighting, so Kinji scolds her for putting herself at risk trying to escape the reputation of her father, the king of whale adventurers. Realizing he is right and she doesn't have to outdo her father, she decides to live for herself and kills Majin, but destroys her sword. Majin revives and tries to eat Kinji, but Rim senses this, saves Kinji and eats Majin. Rim reveals something about Majin's resurrection was unnatural. A teleportation circle Kinji recognizes as the one that summoned him from Japan opens up and he and Rin fallen. Kinji awakens and meets Ranka, the cross-dressing male presence who summoned him, and Zazo, fanatical leader of an underground human village living in a city created thousands of years ago by the advanced colony civilization. Zazo reveals 300 years previously, an evil corporation took over the world and trains Kinji into defeating them. Kinji realizes he is actually in Amuria, 300 years in the future, and the evil corporation is Reza Ha. Arriving at the castle, Kinji learns it belongs of the demon lord Belza, the party, General N, whom Kinji realizes realizes is actually his friend and A, who has evolved into a powerful monster and is overjoyed to see Kinji. It is revealed that, far from exploiting humans, General Ant treats them fairly, asking only that they work 30 hours a week while providing holiday and health insurance. The problem is humans of the future are unreasonably lazy and believe 30 hours is too much work. Belza has not run the corporation in years, and General Ant doesn't know what to do. Deciding to help Kinji takes over as General Ninomiya, punishes lazy workers and rewards hard workers, making the company profitable again, and also takes over the underground city, replacing Zazel as leader and forcing the citizens to return to work. Generals Roja, Power Ash, and Zech Howlers see Kinji as a threat. Power tricks Kinji into a war monster ambush that fails when Rin defeats the worms. Rui makes Kinji responsible for turning difficult wasteland into farms, but Kinji has the worms cultivate the land easily. Zech finds out a secret about Ranga and attempts to blackmail her, but becomes overcome with lust despite learning she is biologically male. The three decide to put Kinji in charge of a truly possible mission. Ranga wakes up in a version of aliens in Wonderland, where white rabbits are slaves to the queen, while unemployed moles live in interest cafes. Queen Belza arrives and reveals Ranga's secret. She is Belza's descendant and offers to let Ranga live with her carefree. A Kinji white rabbit tries to get Ranga to agree, but real Kinji appears and awakens Ranga with a headbutt. It is revealed the generals set them on a mission to defend a robot that hypnotized Ranga, but is now destroyed by Rim. Kinji assures Ranga it is good she has her own goals separate from Belza. Having defeated the robot, Kinji is invited to meet the Demon Lord, who surprises Kinji by asking him to save the world. The Demon Lord is a resurrected Majin, Rim's twin sister. She explains the colonial civilization, created dungeons and guardians, like Rim to manage the flow of magic throughout the planet. But when Rim meets Kinji and abandons her danger Renzaha with able mind all the way to the bottom and use the advanced technology of the colonial city benefit to take over the world. Majin temporarily defeated Renzaha and become Demon Lord, but Reza has returned, having turned their corporate slave into robots to defeat Majin and turn the planet into a dystopia empty of biological life. Thus she offers Kinji a choice: return to Japan or go back into time and stop Reizaha in the past. Kinji chose to go back in time, whereas Reizaha, employing Belza, finds him 10 million gold for going missing for a month, forcing him, Rim, Ranga, and Wanabe to move into Shia's flat, where Kinji explains his plan to get to the bottom of the dungeon and reach the colonial city before Belza. She can capture their technology and take over the world first instead of Belza. Kinji learns the dungeon has become much more dangerous. Shia decides to put him through extreme training, during which he learns living beings can absorb natural mana and convert it into magic with physical abilities, something he cannot do as he is from a world without mana. Kinji sees Ranga playing with a broken gun he brought from the future, but when Rem tries to eat it, the gun absorbs her mana and requests a password to activate, which Kinji accidentally gets right by gently suggesting the commonly used keyboard password QWERTY. Realizing he now has a powerful weapon to compensate his physical weakness, Kinji uses the gun to kill several monsters, but the battery drains quickly and begins to drain mana from the environment to recharge, including the magic fibers into their clothing, leaving everyone almost naked. After being punished by Shia, Kinji threatens to get rid of the gun, only to realize the gun has a stalker girlfriend personality and is forced to keep it when it threatens to self-destruct and kill everyone if he tries to get rid of it. They team up with other adventurers, make naked by Kinji's pistol. Zombies attack and Kinji disappears, leaving his underpants as a clue. Rim follows the scene to a concealed room where the zombies are used as slave labor to brew potion illegally, kept hypnotized by an enchanted poster of workplace rules. Ranga smashes the poster, returning the zombies to normal. They follow Kinji's scent and find him tormenting an undead mage, who explains hundreds of years ago his reputation was ruined by a hero, so he was forced into dungeon, mining until he died of exhaustion. He now haunts the dungeon and brainwash adventurers to work themselves to death as a revenge. Kinji reveals Reizaha concept of corporate drones, causing the mage to pass to the afterlife as adventurers are already working themselves to death. Kinji meets a young struggling shop manager in the dungeon, Kandi, and makes her a deal. If he can fill her shop with paying customers, she will sell him her best dungeon equipment at a mass discount. As the poisons made by zombies have no actually effects, Kinji promotes them as a pre-battle nutrient drink for massive profit, but are soon shut down by Reizaha. Confident Cindy can now survive on her own Kinji, and the others set off to the next level. Rim dreams of a girl with horns. Kinji saves maintenance workers, who explains the door to the fifth and third floors are both blocked, so they are now stuck on the fourth floor indefinitely, while Belza's bodyguards are now trapped on the fifth floor, which has only two powerful monster, guarding the door to the 6th floor. The Ant Queen arrives having fled with her colony from earthquakes, and she has the Hornet Girl, who turns out to be Magin. Queen explains Magin was born after Rim left the dungeon to be its new guardian, but now she is unwell, so the dungeon is more dangerous. Rim reacts unusually by hunting food for Magin without eating any herself, but Magin reacts violently, which upsets Rim. She explains to Kinji she feels guilty for defeating Magin. With the 4th floor back to normal, Magin recovers and is given the name Sky by Rim. Sky suddenly falls seriously ill as a door. The 5th floor opens as the two monsters multiply into dozens and overwhelm the bodyguards. Kinji manages to save the bodyguard, while Rim defeats the monsters. The locate floor 6, where Kinji reveals he secretly scouted ahead with his pistol, who give him information on a magical artifact. Kinji now claims for himself, giving him the power to command all dungeon, leading an army of the monster guard. Above ground, he confers Belza with enough jewels for the dungeon to clear his debts that quits his job. 3 months later, Kinji has turned the dungeon into the park with Renga as his assistant and begins buying other abandoned dungeons. Using his powers, he is able to manage the dungeon's magic without Rim or Magin, turning them back into profitable mines run by the Ant Queen. She starts a new career. Kinji crushes Reizaha profits by flooding the market with cheap demonite and putting Cindy in charge of a magazine-based delivery service on adventuring equipment which, thanks to Wanabe performing demonite research, are cheaper and higher in quality than anything Reizaha sells. He also ends discrimination against demon humans by employing them with the same rights as humans. Belza becomes an alcoholic and is terminated by rank of who as her descendant. Know Belza's childhood history. Belza suddenly wants a plan to get revenge on Kinji using Shia. Kinji is arrested from crime he committed before becoming rich, with Belza manipulated Shia into testifying against him. Portrayed as a potential threat to humanity, Kinji is urged to extract a confession, but he resists. Shia visits and heals his wounds. Having realized Belza manipulated her, the Ant Queen remembers Kinji wrote a manual from this kind of emergency. A month later, Belza is met Reizaha's director, but is shocked when Kinji is suddenly realized and made CEO. Wanabe reveals that following Kinji's manual, they purchase 30% of all Reizaha stocks and convince the owners of another 15% to support them, giving them a majority ownership of Reizaha. Reizaha is absorbed into Kinji's company, where he makes Belza work with Renga to improve their family relationship. Despite his victory, Kinji finds he is unhappy. Concerned about his behavior, Renga reveals that Kinji is from Japan and may be planning to return. Kinji confirms he was happier chasing a goal than he is now he has won, but instead of returning to Japan, he plans to expand the company, take over dungeons in other countries, and keep going until he controls the entire world. Thank you for watching this video. If you like it, please subscribe to my channel, so you have been with you. Bye bye.